I hugged my son and said goodbye. But again, I do believe, and it's not pie in the sky, I do believe I'm going to see him again. But that, at the time, the loss is overwhelming. We're talking about a 16-year-old boy who's 6'3", is incredibly intelligent, incredibly athletically gifted, had a great future ahead of him. My son was a delight. I mean, you can say, well, yeah, he's your son. Of course you're saying that. But I would say to anyone, if you met my son, you could not like him.
Incredible tragedy. This next story involves a group of teenagers, a game of, a prank of ding dong ditch, and the whole thing turns deadly. Chanley Painter has the story tonight.
They were 6 childhood best friends who did what many teen boys do, like shooting TikTok videos, jumping off bridges, jumping in ponds, being silly in class. And January 19, 2020, they all hopped into 18-year-old Sergio Campuzano's mom's car to play an age-old prank.
Ding dong ditch is something that almost every person I've talked to has done that. It's a youth where you go and simply ring someone's doorbell and then take off.
Craig Hawkins' 2 sons, Daniel and Joshua, along with 4 other friends, drove to a random neighbor's house in Corona, California.
This gentleman apparently came out, and then they got ready, got in the car, took off. And then after they'd taken off, they had realized that he had apparently got in his car and came looking for them.
A simple game meets the wrong person. 42-year-old Anurag Chandra followed and chased the boys' car.
It's estimated he hit them, he rammed them somewhere between 70 and 90 miles an hour.
And the boys' families' lives were changed in an instant.
The first arriving engine company reported 6 patients, 3 critical, 3 moderate of injuries, with positive entrapment. 3
of the boys, Daniel Hawkins, Jacob Ivascu, and Drake Ruiz, all only 16 years old, died. The 18-year-old driver and 2 other boys survived.
Yet, Daniel, Drake, and Jacob did not know how close the moment of their final breath will be.
Craig Hawkins began living a parent's nightmare of unimaginable tragedy.
And there's the shock. You're like, is this really happening? Are you joking? Is this a joke? Am I dreaming? Am I going to wake up from this bad nightmare? And then you realize, no, it really is reality.
Authorities determined, based on evidence and witnesses, that Chandra intentionally rammed the car, forcing it off the road and into a tree just before 10:30 that Sunday night.
And he was already out on bail for domestic violence. So this guy's got a history.
Anurag Chandra fled the scene to a nearby residence, but witnesses followed him and police arrested him shortly after the crash.
Now he faces 3 counts of murder.
3 counts of murder, 3 counts of attempted murder under special circumstances.
And the families face a lifetime of dealing with this senseless tragedy.
That evening sent these 3 amazing families in an unimaginable pain and grief. The last 9 days took us in places we did not plan to be. The crash site, hospital rooms, the courtroom, houses of mourning, the cemetery, funeral homes.
Daniel Hawkins' father plans to attend every day of Anurag Chandra's trial.
I want them to see my younger son, who did survive, and my daughter and my wife, and go, and then the other families. These are the families' lives who've been forever changed. This guy basically played God.
Friends and family have set up a Remember the 3 website and a GoFundMe page for the boys to help with legal and medical expenses.
It's your boy, Danny, play solo. Hey, you know who's getting all those big ones?
And a friend who spoke at their service showed that while their youthful joy was brutally ended, their memory lives on.
From now on, I will live my life for each and every one of them. Rest in peace, number 89, 69, and 25.
Wow, incredibly tragic story. Let's bring Chanley Painter in. Chanley, a couple of things here. We begin with, you watch those videos of those young men, and they're so full of life from the time they're little kids, and you know kids like that. You know they grow up in a little group together, and they do things together, and they do a prank together. It's so tragic.
It's unspeakably tragic, Vinny. I watched that. I'm almost in tears watching that. I have cousins, their ages. They do the same thing. I can't imagine what this family is going through. And I want to mention that there were 6 boys in the car. 2 of the survivors were the little brothers of those 16-year-olds who passed away. I can't even, the circumstances are unbelievable. And what is so powerful about this story, Vinny, is Craig Hawkins, the father of Daniel, who we spoke to in that interview, he's all about forgiveness. Even though Anurag Chandra is pleading not guilty, he's not so far taken any ownership for any part of what he did. This family is still wanting to express forgiveness for him, but they also can't wait for justice and the trial. There's no trial date set just yet for this, but the next hearing for Anurag Chandra is May 26th.
All right, so, and these are murder charges now. This isn't like a vehicular homicide situation. They're charging him with murder based upon his alleged purposeful activities. I mean, what did they say, like 90 miles an hour and ramming the car more than once?
Right, and they're survivors of the crash. Those are the key witnesses who can talk about how Anurag Chandra did chase the car down, did come up beside the car, did hit the car from behind and cause this accident. And that's going to be the key evidence. So the prosecutors feel that they can meet the intentional homicide here of murder for the 3 boys who lost their life, and then attempted murder for the 3 who survived the crash, still with injuries. Daniel's little brother, Craig Hawkins, who we talked to, his youngest son was in the car, who's 13 years old. His name's Joshua. He had fractures on his pelvis, broken ribs, a broken tailbone. He was in the hospital for 4 days. He still is undergoing this physical therapy. That gives you an idea of just the ongoing consequences of Anurag Chandra's alleged choices on that evening. In fact, Craig Hawkins goes on to say that who was the actual one acting like a child that night?
Chanley Painter, thanks so much. Of course, we will continue to track this case as it gets ready to go to trial. And again, our thoughts are with the families of all the young men who lost their lives. When we come back, a lot more to talk about.